Good afternoon, everyone. Today we will continue the poem Father Returning Home. In the last lecture, we have gone through the first part of the poem, where our poet has discussed the journey of the father from his office to home, where he has faced so many problems. While traveling home, he has to face the problem of late evening train. Later on, the atmosphere was soggy. It was the monsoon season. Atmosphere was humid and damp. So he has to face that dampness of the atmosphere. Due to because of old age, he was tired, and the whole day hard work made him tired. So this was the typhoid tiredness of our father, which made him uneasy, uncomfortable. In the train, he didn't get a place to sit and feel comfortable. Here again, he has to face the problem of standing. When he was standing, he was surrounded by, or he is surrounded by silent commuters. Means here our father is unable to make relationship with the crowd. So, the mental and physical suffering of the father is expressed into the first part of the poem. Here, our poet has used the figure of his own father to portray the dilemma of middle class modern man. This was the this is the ugliest side of modernization. In the age of modernization, we become workaholic, where emotions, feelings are only only the part of our talking. It's not that we have implemented in our daily routine. The father here is alienated by the crowd, so he feels uncomfortable. Mentally, he suffers a lot, and there is none to take care of the father, to take care of father's feeling. So, this is the single side, one way suffering of father. And in the first part, we have gone through all these points. Our poet Dilip Purushottam Chitre has experienced the same routine of his father when they moved from Baroda to Bombay. At that time, he was child, so he didn't feel anything about the suffering of the father. But later on, now, when he had written the poem, at that time he felt the suffering of the father. So, where he wanted to write a poem about the theme of a man or a father, basically who belongs to metropolitan city. So here he had used a figure of his own father, but this is the first reading impression of the poem. Here poet has used the figure of his own father, and this is the autobiographical poem. But on the deep level, on the deep level, it has different meaning. It has deep understanding of the meaning, and that is the importance of this poem, where you can understand, you can feel the problems of modern middle class man with this poem. So this is about the yesterday's lecture or the video. Now we will start the poem. Now we will start the poem Father Returning Home with its analysis, with its second part. As I told you, the first part is related to the suffering, and the second part is related to when father returns at the home, where how he was treated by the family member. This is about the second stanza. Look at the second stanza. Home again, I see him drinking weak tea, eating a stale chapati, reading a book. He goes into the toilet to contemplate man's estrangement from a man made world. Coming out, he trembles at the sink, the cold water running over his brown hands. A few droplets cling to the graying hair on his wrists. His sullen children have often refused to share jokes and secrets with him. He will now go to sleep, listening to the static on the radio, dreaming of what? Of his ancestors, grandchildren, and thinking of nomads entering a subcontinent through a narrow pass. This is the second part of the poem. Here we get the impression of his uneasiness, where he had the fear for the future. All these things we will discuss in this part. Let us see the first line of the second part, or the 13th line of the poem. Home again, I see him drinking weak tea, eating a stale chapati, reading a book. Look at these two lines. Here, 2-3 words are used, and they symbolizes their own importance. Look at the word weak tea and stale chapati. These are the two words. Through that we get the impression of poet's existence at home, poet's father's existence at home. When he came back to the home, at the time he was served by weak tea. Means tea is not fresh, it is not strong to make him comfortable. So it is the word which gives the impression that the unimportant existence of the father at the home, where he was served by stale chapati. Stale means it's not fresh, means he was served by weak tea and stale chapati. This was the coldness of their home, where he was again alienated by the family members. While drinking and eating, he was reading a book. With this line also we get the impression that father is not father has not given any company by the family member ने इनको company नहीं दिया गया है. So now he is feeling lonely. In the crowd, he was silent. He was lonely. He was alienated. In the home is the place where we get comfort, love, care. But here, he didn't get anything from the family member to make him comfortable and happy. That's why he was reading a book. And what happened? Then he goes into the toilet to contemplate. With this line also we get the feeling that father didn't get any place to sit comfortable, to interact with the family members, the problems of the father. Then what happened? He goes into the toilet for the contemplation. Contemplation or the contemplate means think deeply. Father was thinking deeply, might be about his future or the family or the future of the family or the future of his own. So here he went into the bathroom. This is the mental suffering of the father, where he was mentally suffering, and there was no one to share the uneasiness of his state of mind. So he went into the bathroom to contemplate. And here the line talks the man's estrangement from a man made world. Estrangement means what? Alienation. Parkepana, ekakipana. In this line, we get the impression that now the man is alienated from the man made materialistic world. Just think about the line, it has deep importance, we can say. Why? Just think, the father made that house for himself, and he had brought all materialistic things in that home. But in that his own home, he was neglected by his main. So this is the estrangement of this man-made world where the man didn't get or doesn't get any importance, but the workaholic lifestyle or the materialistic things get importance. So this is the way of life, this is the way of modern life, where man is just removed as an object. So look at the next line. Coming out, he trembles at the sink. When he comes from the bathroom, or he came from the bathroom, he was trembling at the sink. Why? Because we have lot of interpretation with this for this line. Might be he was feeling uneasy. Might be he was old, and due to because of old age he was trembling. Might be he was physically unfit or mentally unfit. These are all interpretation.